What's up everybody, my name is Don, and today I'm going to be playing what is perhaps my favorite, or at least one of my favorite RPGs of all time, and one of my favorite games of all time actually. It is Phantasy Star IV, The End of the Millennium, or Phantasy Star IV, or Phantasy Star The End of the Millennium, depending on where you're from. Released on the Mega Drive in December of 1993, but with a copyright of 1994, but was released in 1995 in North America. Yeah, you figured that one out. So this came out slightly before Final Fantasy VI did, and a year and a half before Chrono Trigger did, so there will be some comparisons made. Not really fair comparisons, but comparisons nonetheless. I mean, this is a really spectacular game. I mean, it just takes the world building of the... Hello, favorite characters of all time. It just takes the world building from the first 3 games in the series and just runs with it. The Algol Solar System, somewhere in space. So you're telling me this is a sci-fi game? Once a brilliant civilization flourished here. The citizens devoted themselves to art and the sciences, and life was prosperous and good. Then a series of disasters struck. The system-wide management system Mother Brain was destroyed, so it's always Mother Brain wrecking shit. So it's the first planet Parma. Over 90% of the system's population died, and the advanced technological culture was lost. Society declined, spiraling downward until at last only a few scattered groups even remembered there were once better times. 1,000 years passed. At last, civilization is once more on the rise across the Algol system. People are again turning to thoughts of an easier life. Old knowledge is being rediscovered. But just as things look brighter, beyond a threshold long thought closed, a dark and very ancient evil stirs. And that's the setup for The End of the Millennium. It's actually going off of Phantasy Star II and that game's ending, and not Phantasy Star III, as that game is a side plot. Kind of. Well, this game also starts with a wake-up Chrono moment. Except I'm blonde. This is your first job since you joined the Huntress Guild. You better put your heart into it. So I'm not a trainee anymore? From this day on, you are my full-fledged partner. Now come on, let's go. Meet Elise Springwin and Chaz Ashley. The fuck kind of last name is Ashley? Where are we off to this time? It's a bit far. We're going to Matavia Academy in the town of Piata. Wow! So we're going to the town of learning? I wonder what's happened there. Who knows? The message said just come. We'll get the details once we get there. This section is automated. Whenever you play this game, the characters just move themselves to a certain point. And after that certain point, the player will assume control of the characters. Since we're going to be there anyway, I'd sure like a tour of the academy. Is that all you can think about? Get moving or I'll leave you behind. Elise is a bit feisty, and I freaking love it. AW2284. Monster attacks have swelled the ranks of those who call themselves hunters. But as the attacks become ever... Scroll along. This part is also automated. More frequent and powerful. An elite few begin to wonder what is behind this outbreak, and when and how it will all end. Are we really just staring at the sun all day? But Elise, the sunset! It's a beautiful freaking sunset, but we're wasting time here! Oops! I wandered around and now I've gotten separated from Elise. I've gotta find her. Wow, Chaz, you're really something. Elise is 2 steps to the left of you. Or the right of you, since you're facing towards us. No wonder you need to go to school. About a month ago, monsters began to appear in the basement. I'm so frightened I can't even think about my research. Well, that sounds like a you problem, but okay then, just blame your homework on the monsters. Are you a hunter? Are you here to exterminate the monsters? Chaz, where have you been? Come on, let's go. But, we have to see the principal to get the details about this commission. And now we have a team of 2. Wow, hey gorgeous! Why don't you go with me instead of that kid? Oh, buzz off! The interactions in this game are definitely one of a kind. Welcome. I'm the principal of this academy. Let's see. You must be Elise, the hunter, and you're her assistant, Chaz. Forgive me, but Chaz is a full-fledged partner of mine. Now let's get down to business. Describe the situation. About a month ago, mysterious monsters started to appear within this academy. It appears that they made the basement their headquarters. I have since closed it off. So far no one's been hurt, but who knows when they'll appear again. Please, I beg you to destroy all those creatures. I like to settle this matter discreetly. I'm counting on your reputation, Elise. No problem. You can rely on us. Although it's strange that all those monsters suddenly appeared in this academy. Usually monsters don't come into inhabited areas. Do you have any idea how this happened? What? How would I know? Stop asking questions. Just hurry up and exterminate those monsters. Don't forget, I'm paying you dearly for your services. Well, that was sketchy. The fuck was that about? Something smells fishy here. That principal is hiding something. Maybe he's afraid of the monsters. I think there's more to it than that. Things are starting to get interesting. There goes Elise being the best main character of all time, taking ass and kicking names like always. She is just awesome. And she'll continue to be the best main character until the day she dies. That statue is a reference to the first game on the Master System, which I still have not beaten yet. What? You're the hunters? Really? You don't think we can do the job? No, not at all. I didn't mean that. Since we have the principal's permission, let us pass. Wait, take me with you. And why should we? My name is Hahn. I'm an assistant at this academy. I work for Professor Hull, who has gone to investigate Burf Valley for his research. We haven't heard from him since. So, now I'm searching for the professor's whereabouts. Burf Valley? That's that mysterious place that's called the Sacred Valley of Life. But what's the connection between the valley and this current monster scare? After the investigation team led by the professor was reported missing, the principal barred anyone from entering Burf Valley. We're trying to get information as to what's going on, but he keeps evading the issue. And then this current monster scare begins. I'll bet anything that there is some sort of connection between these issues, these incidents. Blah. Well, it's true that there is something fishy about the principal's behavior. Given the circumstances, I feel compelled to investigate the basement myself, but come to think of it, it is a bit dangerous. So you were just waiting for us to arrive? Yes? You catch on quick! 100 Meseta. What? We'll take you with us for 100 Meseta. I hope you weren't thinking of asking to tag along with us for free, right? I can't get that kind of money from the principal. That's not my problem. Now, what are you gonna do? Okay, fine, I'll pay. And now we're in Three's company, and we got 3 new party members at the start of the game, before the first dungeon. If we can even call it a dungeon, I mean, it's literally just a couple rooms stitched together. As for the characters, Elise and Chaz are more jack-of-all-trades characters, Elise having more support-type techniques like Shift and Saner, and one offensive fire attack called Foy. What Shift does is, Elise will take her turn to buff up a character's stat points, mainly strength, and that stat point won't go away until you either win that battle or that character dies. And Saner has the same basic concept as Shift, except Elise is taking her time to raise all the character's agility stats. And just like with Shift, you don't lose this buff until either you die or get KO'd, or you win the battle. And that monster ran away. What a pussy. Anyway, Hahn is more of the supportive type character. He does have an offensive ice attack later on, but you have to level him up a bit. And this is what the battle screen looks like. You can see your characters move around in full 16-bit glory instead of whatever Final Fantasy IV through 6 did. I mean, what? Chibi! They're chibi characters! Well, admittedly, these characters here are a bit on the chibi side too, but they're more realistically portioned. I don't know what Final Fantasy IV through 6 did, and was kind of creepy. I do like Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6, but admittedly, whenever I play those games, I don't feel like I'm the characters. In this game, I feel like I'm Elise at the moment, or Chas at the moment, if you know what I mean. Anyway, this dungeon, quote-unquote dungeon, is really short. And you could get a couple of items down here too, it's not that big a deal. Monomates and antidotes. Monomates are really weak potions that will heal you for about 30 HP. What's this? And antidotes will cure you of poison. And that's the first boss of the game. An Igglanova. Here's what you want to do for the Igglanova. You want Chas to do his Earth skill, basically stunts the monster in place, and have Hahn and Elise buff up. The Earth skill missed. It's not really a big deal, the monster's gonna take time spawning more enemies than it is attacking you actively, so keep trying. Let me talk about the difference between skills and techniques, because the difference is pretty big. Techniques are your standard magic attacks, even though they don't like to call it magic in this game unless if it's a certain character, but we'll get to them later. They have technique points, you know, basic mana points. You go from, say Elise uses Foy, that takes up 3 tech points. Skills are more character-specific actions that you only have a limited number of. I have a particular set of skills that make me a nightmare to people like you. Don't worry, the more you train up, the more skills you get. An example of this is Chas has 3 Earths. Yes, that's right, Chas can fit 3 Earths in his pockets. That's wonderful. But the more you train up, he'll eventually get 4 Earths, and then 5 Earths, and then 6 Earth skills, and the number keeps growing from there. And you can get even more skills with the characters. Chas becomes a freaking force of nature by the end of the game. Just like any old good RPG protagonist. Elise has 3 Fortresses left. I think the Igglanova is nearly dead, so it wouldn't even matter. Oh, and she did. Okay, yeah, she does use the Vortex. Yep, dead. Everything's dead. We win! Woo, we did it! Chas, you need more practice. Your swing is too slow. What? But we destroyed the monster. With my help? Sorry. Now Hahn, come over here. Yeah, I can agree with Elise on that one. You kept missing your Earth skills there, Chas. What are these glass containers for? These... Are you by any chance breeding monsters here? If that's the case, this monster business is no mystery after all. I don't know anything. It's the first time I've been in this room. I've only just learned that such a thing exists at the academy. Really, it's the truth. I believe you. For now. The principal must know about these containers. He must also know the connection between this and the disappearance of Professor Holt. Yes. Let's see the principal again. Come on, Chas. Hey, don't leave me here. And the plot thickens. Apparently there's a conspiracy here. And more monsters. Oh my god. We got these Zoram bolts who are... They're just common enemies. You get an even weaker version called the... Oh, I forgot what it was called, but they spawn in with the Igglanova during the boss fight. Those guys just have 1 head, these guys have 2, and they're slightly more dangerous. A good thing to take note of is, since we're on a sandy planet, the monsters are incredibly weak to ice and any sort of water attack. Speaking of water, I need to take a drink right now. So keep that in mind, sand monsters are incredibly weak to ice. We don't have a dedicated ice attack just yet, but we'll be getting one soon. And here I thought they were going the Chrono Trigger route with the characters having like elementals based on their personalities. Because Hahn seems to be the ice person and Elise for some reason has all the fire attacks. But that's not really the case here. You'll be meeting a good amount of characters who have all of the elements under their belts, and even some rather strange elements. The cast of characters is so incredibly diverse, so you'll never find a dedicated class for a person. It's just, hey, this guy may hit hard, but he can also heal really good too. And ditto for that guy over there. But anyway, here's the principal again. Let's see what he's up to. Huh? What's wrong? You seem upset. Were you able to defeat those monsters? Yes, but there's something I want to ask you. What? Is it just my imagination that I saw some strange things in the basement? Stop beating around the bush. Someone keeping information from me is the 6th most dangerous thing in this world. Wait, what are the other 5 dangerous things? I want to know! And also, Elise hemming this guy up is oddly satisfying for some reason, I don't know why. Alright already, I'll tell you what I know. You are aware of the recent outbreak of a new breed of monster? Oh yes, thanks to the outbreak, I'm not hurting for work. 3 months ago, Holt identified Birth Valley as the origin of the outbreak, and he went to investigate. He says he discovered the remains of an ancient and advanced civilization. The investigation team brought back the monster breeding capsules and immediately set forth on their second investigative mission, but not one of them came back. Yes, that's right, Hahn. And despite all of this, you didn't send a rescue team and ban entry to Birth Valley? No. I was trying to send a rescue team, but something happened. At that moment, a man who called himself Zio appeared right before my eyes. Zio. I've heard of him, that fake magician. Dude, this is the best setup for an RPG ever. Ah, my dear principal of Matavia Academy. How are you doing? Who are you? My name is Zio. Zio the Black Magician. Do not intrude on Birth Valley. What do you mean? In the future, if you let anyone set foot in Birth Valley. That guy just got attacked by a golden Medusa head. Let me make something clear. There is no need for you to go to Birth Valley. It's related to the research team. So that's why the Birth Valley situation wasn't announced. And also why you tried to keep a lid on the monster situation. But what is all this about? Remains of an ancient advanced civilization and Zio. It seems like these are signs of something to come. I need to help the professor. I'm going to Birth Valley. Hahn, this is egg laying season for sandworms, so be careful. Elise? We'll tag along for 300 Meseta plus expenses. Deal! Birth Valley is to the northeast. Let's hurry. That's nice of Elise to tag along with Hahn even though the mission is technically over. And she's still swindling him, but hey, she just doesn't want him to get skinned alive out there. Once, there were 3 planets in the Algol solar system. But during the Great Collapse, the planet Parma was lost. Now only Desolus and this planet remains. So back in Phantasy Star II, Marvin the Martian actually succeeded in his plans to blow up a planet. And Parma went with it. No, I'm kidding. A giant satellite crashed into Parma. I don't know how big this goddamn satellite was, but if it was a space colony that housed prisoners, then I'd say it was pretty fucking huge. And now the only thing that remains of Parma is a giant asteroid belt around the sun. And also those giant ships from Phantasy Star III, but we'll get to that later. And speaking of Phantasy Star III, because that game is a generational tale, and this game takes place over the course of like a week or two, that game's story is really weird compared to this one. This is the village of Mile, and this is our newly built sandworm ranch. What do you think? Isn't it great? This will attract a lot of tourists. I like the graphical detail on that sandworm. Hopefully it doesn't attack us or anything. Did you see the quicksand? It's spreading and spreading. How long is this town going to last? This town is probably on the edge of disaster, is it? See that castle beyond the quicksand? I could have sworn that one night there was nothing and the next day there it was. Must have been my imagination, don't you think? Huh, a castle. I wonder if that has anything to do with Zio. Or if Mario is just going after Bowser again. I always get those two mixed up. There's no use! Okay, I had to do it. This game was made by some of the members of Sonic Team. I just had to go there. And yeah, towns. They're basically a break from the dungeons and the battling, and this girl is sweeping a lot. Well, why are you sweep? You know there's a sandstorm every now and then. Why do you have to sweep that one spot? Especially if it's not close to a building. I mean, that's just a fence. You don't have to sweep a fence. It's said that a strange religion is becoming popular. They say it's being spread by a man dressed in black. What did they say his name was? Oh yes, Zio. Yeah, I believe they said his name was Zio. There's that name again. It's Voldemort of the Phantasy Star series. There are so many interesting tidbits about Zio's backstory that for some odd reason did not make it into the final game. Time constraints. Which I guess makes sense because the dude is mysterious and he's really effective for a villain, or at least a first act villain. Alright, so what you want to do here is give Chas a sword. He's got daggers, or hunting knives rather, which are nice I guess, but you really want a sword. Give one of the hunting knives to Hahn, he'll definitely need it for his attack power. Or if you want, give him 2 hunting knives from Chas, but he'll die really quickly if you don't have a shield on him. And for Elise, give her 2 slashers. What's worse than a boomerang type weapon to the face? 2 boomerang weapons to the face. And no, I will not be giving Elise an Australian accent because I suck at accents, but I can kinda see her with an Australian accent. Okay, we just equipped the steel sword to Chas. Now he's a true RPG protagonist. Sort of. He still needs training. The armor store here is not that good. You got leather equipment, which we already have, so buying it is just redundant. And yeah, there's better equipment later on. Do I need anything else? I didn't buy anything from you, lady. And yeah, that's gonna be part 1 of this massive journey, which is honestly not so massive. This game is only 15 hours long at most. So I'll see you in part 2 where things heat up.